o'clock. The September 1st, 2022 meeting of the St. Charles County Board of Zoning Adjustment is hereby called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. There we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Play ball. Welcome to the meeting of the St. Charles County Board of Adjustment. I'm the board's chairman, Jerry Prinster. The duties of the board include hearing appeals to vary the zoning requirements to provide relief where the conditions of a property prevent development consistent with the intent or purposes of the applicable zoning regulations, and to render decisions on appeals from an action of the Director of the Division of Planning and Zoning when it has been alleged that a permit has been incorrectly issued or denied. The board members here are citizen volunteers who are appointed by the county executive with county council approval. County staff members are also present to assist with the proceedings and advise the board. At this time, we ask everybody to silence their phones or any other electronic device. During this meeting, each case will begin with a presentation by the applicant, which is typically limited to 5 minutes. County staff will then have an opportunity to provide relevant information for the board to consider. Any written communications from the public will be entered into the record as well. The board will then take public testimony relevant to whether or not granting of the requested variance would be appropriate. All persons planning to speak at tonight's meeting must first complete a speaker's card and hand it to the recording secretary, who I assume is Robert tonight. I already read that. I'm going back and read it again. Blank cards are located on the podium. Each speaker approaching the podium should submit their card, state their name, and be sworn in. Testimony is typically limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Once testimony has concluded, I will close the public hearing and no further input from the audience will be taken. A board member will move to approve the application so that discussion and a vote may take place as required by county ordinance. At least 4 of the 5 board members must vote in the affirmative for a variance request to be approved. If the variance request is approved, the applicant may proceed after the proper permits have been issued. Any decision of the Board of Zoning Adjustments may be appealed to the County Council within 14 working days after notification of the Board of Zoning Adjustments decision has been mailed. The Unified Development Ordinance and zoning maps of St. Charles County are hereby entered into the record. Please read at the start of the public hearing, my friend.
All righty.
Who's
Application number VAR 22-04. Property owner, St. Charles County. Applicant, Dennis Bampton, on behalf of St. Charles Flying Service. A request to vary section 405.355 B.2 of the ordinances of St. Charles County to allow for the placement of a movable accessory structure at the adjacent ground level rather than at 1 foot above the base flood elevation in accordance with section 405.375. Property zoning is A, agricultural district with floodway fringe and wellhead overlay districts, parcel area 223.05 acres. Location approximately 1,800 feet east of Grafton Ferry Road on the south side of Portage Road, Smartfield Airport, hangar number 6, County Council 6.
Is the property owner, applicant, or representative here to speak on behalf of this appeal?
Yes, I'm the
That's you?
person. Yes.
Please come up and we'll ask you to identify. Have you got your card there?
Yep.
Hand it to our acting secretary, if you'd be so kind. Please state your name.
My name is Dennis Bampton.
Okay. Okay, I hereby open the public hearing. Proceed.
All right, so basically, what I'm here for is to appeal to you folks for a variance on the classroom building that's replacing the classroom building that was in this location for the past 13 years. Basically, the building is there, replacing it, and they came in and said we had to go through the variance process to try to get it so that we could utilize it. I've arranged for the fellows from, I gotta get from,
The towing company?
yeah, the towing company. They have agreed to, should the river stage reach the field next to Portage Road, they will come in and remove the building. It's relatively easy to get removed. They know what they're doing, and move it out to their facility out in O'Fallon, Missouri. And that's basically where I obtained the mobile classroom from, and they're willing to remove it. They skirted it, they secured it. Then I had an electrician, and we got building permits for the electrician to hook up the electric, and it's readily, easily disconnected and removed. The building that was there since 2010, and we went through 2013 and 2015's flood with no problems. But the 2019 flood, the problem that occurred was not so much wrecking the building, but the mold and from the water. It was there for quite a long time, and the mold built up, and we can't have our students being educated in a place where it's really dangerous with the mold. So that was the reason we destroyed the building, and we hauled it away ourselves, and it was secured properly. It didn't wash away or anything like that. It actually only got about 4 inches inside the building, but 4 inches of the Mississippi River water is enough to ruin anybody's building. So that's basically why we removed the 2 floods prior, the 13 and the 15. It didn't even get to the building. It just got up to the skirting, and there was no problem with that. We didn't have a problem even with the electricity. So that was the main reason for this variance, is so we can have that facility. Now, the reason for the facility is important to us is there's not enough room in our hangar building for us to have our students get education in there. The FAA said you must have a facility that you can educate people in without danger to them, and also where it's easily accessible and there's not everybody around. Whereas the building that we're in, Hangar 6, we can work out of there, but it's very hard to work with students when you have everybody coming in and out, and it makes it really tough. And the FAA, when they inspected, they said, you can't have your 141 certificate back until you obtain a new facility for education. So that's when we went out and spent the thousands of dollars that was required to build a building, or to move a building there. And then they came in, they inspected it, and they blessed it. And so now they're issuing us a new certificate so that we can instruct our 141 students. Part 141 is a regulation that we have to work under, so that we can instruct those students for private, commercial, multi-engine, and various other ratings that folks come here for. And now with the the way things are in the aviation industry, they're so desperate for pilots. I think you folks fly anywhere, you'll know that your flights are getting canceled all the time, and part of that reason is because they don't have enough pilots. And that's our job, is basically.
I have to fly with Nick whenever I.
Yeah. We teach the pilots, and then they move on to the airlines and places like that. So that's our primarily business. I've been in business. I've been there for 48 years. Our business has been there since 1968, so it's been 54 years, and we used to be over to St. Charles Municipal Airport until they closed that airport, and then in 2005, we took over this building over here at the St. Charles County Airport.
And
But-
then Bowden Distal died too.
Yeah, when he passed away, that was the end of our airport. I mean, they
understand.
closed everything down, and,
Well, didn't the FAA want him to commit to 15 more years? Or
well, they
he was
actually
like
wanted him to
80
commit.
something?
I had that, he initially committed,
Really?
in 1998, Steve Ellman signed off, and it was blessed to do an $11 million grant for that entire airport.
I'll be darned.
And then Mr. Bowdendistel got scared. He didn't want to go in bed with the United States government, and so he just,
Well, he was almost 80 years old
yeah,
then.
but his daughters weren't wild about aviation like he was. He was an avid aviation enthusiast.
I knew
So
him
that
slightly.
basically ended our, we stayed at that airport. I was there for 37 years. We stayed there the rest of the time till 2010, when they just came in one day and said, we aren't going to spend any money, and
Wow.
you're going to have to, we're closing it down. So we moved. Luckily, we had rented this hangar in 2005, so we had it sitting over there empty. So we just, in 2010, moved our entire operation into this.
Now,
This-
this facility is 12 by 60, is that what I said?
The actual building that we just
Yeah.
put in is 12 by 60. Actually, it's 12 by 54, but it's called a 60-foot hangar because of the
You put a little tongue on
the
the,
tongue on the end, so it's 60 feet long, but it's a good enough size for us to do what we have to do, and it was approved by the Federal
if this
Aviation Administration.
variance is granted, and I'm just asking the questions, I'm not
Sure.
speaking for the board members, does that eliminate, I saw something where that you're in court right now with the county or something?
Yeah, well, that's because of the,
Okay,
for some reason, they're making me come to court, but they keep putting it off and telling me to come back. It's because of the building permit. Once the variance is blessed, then I'll have they told me I'd come back and we'll forgive everything,
sign
so we
off
won't.
on it, okay, so that will take you.
Yeah, that'll take care of everything. He gave me till the 25th of October to get everything squared away, because I've been back 5 times to the
They
court.
like you.
Huh?
I
No,
think they like you.
they keep giving me a continuance.
Anybody got questions?
But the first building was only, said it was only gonna be there for 2 to 3 years.
Well, here's the thing, the first building, which I didn't even know, they gave us a 3-year variance. I didn't know that. That was in 2010. No, it was actually, we moved there in 2010. In 2016, Dennis applied for a variance, and he got that variance, but it was only good for 3 years. 3-year variance is fine with me, and then we'll just redo everything again if everything works out the way I anticipate it. But
So you intend for this to go on in the future and not just?
oh,
for
we
2 to
we
3
intend to
years?
just stay there, yeah. That's our intent. I spent $17,000 to put the building there. So, but we had to have a place to give our instruction to, and you couldn't do it in the hangar. You
To
just
get
can't.
approved by the FAA.
Yeah, it had to be approved by the
Yeah, fair
FAA, and so that's basically where we're coming from. I'm looking for a 3-year works, because the 3-year we had before, I didn't know it. I honestly didn't, and heck, it had expired when did it expire? In 2016? 17 or 16. We didn't even know it, and it was still there. And the building went through all of the floods and never got damaged till
Till 19.
this one. This one was totally different. This wrecked everything. This got us good.
Is there a reason why you didn't remove it?
Yes, there's a good reason. They told us it was going down. So we were cleaning up. I remember the day like it was yesterday. We were cleaning up the building and washing everything and getting everything ready. And somebody came in and said, "Did you look at the hydro? They just said it's going up over." It was too late. We couldn't, it was up and it was going down, but then it came right back up. And so it was too late to get it out because the water was all around the road and all around our facility, but it wasn't 7 foot deep. And that's what it wound up being, 7 foot in this flood. It was 7 feet deep in our building. So it was basically.
But if somebody would have said that it was coming back up and you had time, you would have.
Oh,
moved the
sure,
building out of
that
there.
was the plan.
Okay,
Now, we had a plan to move it,
okay.
but this time we got, these guys know what they're doing. They were really good when they came in and installed it, and they said, we'll be able to, you just call us and then we'll be able to come and get it, and we'll take it off the facility and we'll move it to, we'll charge you for it, but
Right.
we'll move it out to our
It's gotta
facility.
be cheaper
Yeah,
than-
yeah, yeah,
Is this building in place now?
yes.
It is, okay.
Yes, and that was how I got myself into a pickle with them, because I went through the permits and applied and everything, and then when they said, well, it's not approved. Oh, one other thing, so everybody understands, and I don't understand why they did this, but they wanted an elevation certificate. I said, well, I know that the building is under the flood. It's not going to be over the flood. It don't matter. So I had to spend $800 to do this elevation certificate. But the elevation certificate was done by a certified, they officially sanctioned it and sent it on to the county. So we know exactly what the elevations and everything of this building are, and
I think in general, they want that in the file so
Yeah,
that
for
they know
FEMA.
what they're giving you a variance, what
Right.
you're varying from what degree to what degree.
right, and that's why I didn't argue. I just said, okay, we'll do it, and we did it. And then the contract that we have with the mover is pretty simple. It's simplistic. He said, hey, you just call and we'll come out there and move the building. We just take the skirt off, and they have it all secured for weather properly. It's secured. They gave me exactly how they secured it, so we don't
not
have to
gonna
worry
blow
about
away.
it blowing over or anything like that. It's done by a first-rate. These guys are, from what I understand, this company is Gateway, and they seem to know what they are doing in this type of building. So they did everything pretty upstanding.
Do you have a written contract with them or just a verbal arrangement?
No, I have a written contract. It's just when you say, it was Joe Lieberman is his name, and he just signed off and said, we'll come and get it when you call us and tell us to come and get it. So I said, that'll work. If I need something more, I'll get it, but I felt that was enough. And the only way that he wouldn't be able to do it is if he went out of business while we were still there and he wasn't there, because there's always somebody that can move the building, as long as we know that we have to do it, and we will.
And what is your guideline for moving it?
I have it in the, well, see,
John,
it's
the
in the
Grafton
county.
Gate, when the
Yeah, it's in
Grafton
the
Gate's in
county.
29,
When the
28.
Grafton, I think it's 29.
That's what-
29,
That's what the recommendation
yeah,
from the staff.
29. When it's 29, that's time to move it on. When it's 29, it's not on the road yet.
Okay.
But when it's 29, that's our warning to get the stuff out of there.
Somewhere in your statement, I saw where, when the water got up on Portage Road.
Portage Road, yes. But then when it gets up on Portage Road, it's only at 27 or 28.
Okay.
But when it's 29, it's coming over.
Time to
But
get
we figured when it gets to the Portage Road, on top of the road, we have to get the building out of there.
And you can still get out of.
Oh, yeah, you can get, well, we can get out on the other end at any time. And honestly, we could have gotten it out. It would have been a pain because the water was pretty deep, but they could have come in with their big trucks and got it out on the airport side. But we didn't think it was going to go up to 8 feet deep. We thought it was going to be inches like it was before. I think in 15, there was 7 inches on our facilities. And that was that closed us up, but it didn't, we had to move. We evacuated the airport, but we didn't have to move everything. We put everything up on cinder blocks and everything like that, and that was a waste because we lost everything. Every one of everything was gone. All of our tools, we had put everything up on cinder blocks, but by the time that water came up, it was too late. We moved as much as we could out with the trucks and boats. I don't even want to be reminded of that flood because that was tough. That was tough.
It'll be back.
But, well, it might, but I don't talk about it. I knock on wood every time because.
So do we, yes.
Because it was pretty miserable. And the county saved us, and Creve Coeur Airport saved us, because Creve Coeur allowed us to come over to their facility and hold our business open, and then Creve Coeur Airport got flooded.
Yeah.
So we had a heck of a time, but we made it. And in 15, it was flooding, and we moved out, and we moved over to Spirit. So when the water comes up, we get out, and that's, we got to move the airplane.
You're prepared to handle.
Oh, yeah, we have to get them out of there because,
Any other questions, guys?
Can you explain to me why you installed a new building and started using it without getting a permit?
I got a permit. If you look at when when I applied on the 21st of April in 2020. I just thought it was blessed, but it wasn't. That's my fault. But I applied for the permit. And then that's why I'm in trouble with the court, because they said I didn't apply for the permit, but I have documentation that I got the permit. I did get a permit. It just was not an approved. It was,
Well, then you didn't get the permit because it wasn't approved.
right, it wasn't approved, but I didn't know that. And I'm being honest with you, I honestly didn't know that it wasn't approved. And so, but we had the electrician do his permit, and he screwed up and didn't tell the county. And so they didn't have his permit, and he got that all squared away after the fact. But that kind of contributed to everything, because he said, you got an electrician hooking up electricity and there's no permit. But there was, but he had it verbally, and then he gave me all the information, and I got it to everybody. Everybody has the permit numbers and everything in the county. I think you know that. That wasn't with you, that was with, who was that with? When we got the permits?
Well, the permits come through Department of Community Development.
Who was it, Price? Is it?
Mark Price
Mark Price,
issues
yeah.
floodplain
Yeah,
permits.
see, I have the permit, and in fact, I even have a copy of it here. And when they sent me the email, and you can see that I have a lot of paper, they sent me an email saying that it's not, they didn't say it's not approved, they said the permit needs work. And then they changed employees. Christine left, she had everything squared away, and when she left, then somebody else took over, and I had to start all over with all the different things. But, that's my fault. I accept that responsibility. There's no two ways about it, but I sure don't want to spend.
That's not anything that's going to be undone.
No, I don't want to spend $17,000 taking the chance that it's not going to be blessed, because I thought it was all taken care of, but it wasn't. So,
Also in the middle of COVID.
I'll blame it on COVID, yeah. And global warming.
Well, yeah, and this all occurred during the COVID situation, and so it was kind of a mess.
Is there, I don't see a copy of the elevation certificate in this documentation. Was it furnished to us?
Yes, it was.
There is, we do have an elevation
The
certificate.
number was, I don't know if the
And
actual.
it's referred
No, the
to
actual-
in the.
I have
staff
multiple
report.
copies of it, so, I mean, I have no
Check.
problems if you
Yeah,
need a
I
copy.
see that it's referred to, but I actually like to see it,
Okay.
you know, and,
It's this.
He being a surveyor,
Being a
by the way.
surveyor.
Yes, and then she'll be given. No, that's it, and the young fellow, the company that did it were licensed, in the St. Charles County, and they couldn't figure out why it was being done, because they said it doesn't make any sense. I said, because they asked us to get it done. So that is the elevations, and I know that we're under the 100-year flood.
so when you skirt the building, you don't have any openings in the skirting for any waters to pass through.
In essence, you do. I mean, when you say,
In
we
essence?
we don't have a drain system, no.
I'm not
No.
asking about a drain system though, but sometimes engineered openings in buildings
Well,
will allow
the
water
whole-
to pass through without.
Yeah, they were talking about that, but the whole purpose of us moving it is so we don't have to do that. If the water comes up to the point where it surrounds the building, we have to move the building. And we aren't gonna take the chance that, like we did the last time. It's not gonna happen.
I understand. On the top of page 2, it says 28 feet under number 2.
Okay, 28 feet?
But on the other page, it says 29 feet.
Yeah, but it's actually 28.
So I'm just pointing out that there's a typo somewhere in this document. All right.
Yeah.
I'm just going to look. through
What
this.
you folks have to understand is the documents that passed between me and the county, this is not exaggerated. These are all the documents, one after another, back and forth and back and forth. So I can see how it could get kind of messed up. But I gave them a written figure, the same thing I gave to the fellows that are going to remove it with the proper number on it. And I think the footage was when the river stage gets to 28.4 feet, that's when it has to be moved.
Mr. Meyer, on your staff recommendation, number 4, should that be 28 instead of 29?
Well, 28 feet would be more conservative, I think, because that's 28 feet above flood stage. That's what that's referring to, I believe?
River gauge at Grafton reaches 29 feet is what it says.
Should it be 28, or should it be,
28 would be more conservative. So if there's a discrepancy, 28 versus 29,
Kevin had a good point, it's in certain places it says 28, and then certain places it says 29.
And we have no problems with 28, because we don't want to lose the trailer. So we're going to get it out of there. And that's why it was put in as a temporary, that was told to me when I went in there. They said, well, this is a temporary building. Well, but we installed it in 2010. How do you figure that's temporary? Well, that's just the way it ruled. I said, well, that's fine with me. We just have to have it as a temporary facility where we can get it out of there.
When there's a permanent building built down there and we grant a variance, they have to have passageways where the water
Right,
can
yes,
go.
right.
through
And that's the
building.
difference.
Difference in that
Yeah.
portable building.
And honestly, rather than us try to create that, I just figured, let's make it so that, okay, we're gonna get it out of there so we don't have to worry about this. That's the same thing with the security that they have, the secured building. They have to take it out. These guys at Gateway have to remove it. I mean, it's not something that I can remove. It has to be removed by somebody that knows what they're doing. And they would remove it to move the building. Because when we moved the one that got flooded, that was not a problem. They came out, took all the security off of it and the skirting and everything, and just, we moved the building. but it was destroyed.
Kevin, how are you with the elevation thing?
Hey, it's just information.
Okay.
I'm okay with it.
I'll do whatever you tell me, believe me.
Any other questions from the board? John? You want to give us the staff's input other than your recommendations?
Yeah, I won't repeat everything that's in the memo. I just thought I would highlight a few things. Just in terms of the big picture, the airport itself is located within the floodway fringe, and that it is what it is. It's located in a flood zone. So some years ago, the Board of Zoning Adjustment, the airport director applied for, and the Board of Zoning Adjustment granted kind of a blanket variance for, I think it was 19 hangars, if I remember right, to be built at grade instead of elevated. And the idea there is, imagine if you had to elevate all the hangars up, 3, 4, 5, 6 feet up in the air, you'd have all these ramps, and so the airport would be full of ramps. That doesn't really work that well with airplanes. So you'd almost have to elevate the entire airport site if you're going to do that. So the hangars themselves do have a variance to be built at grade, but obviously there's got to be provisions for, I'll call it flow-through. It's really just, it's relieving the hydrostatic pressure so it doesn't crush the buildings and push in the walls. So those are for the hangars. In 2010, the flying service did apply for a variance to allow a mobile trailer to be built essentially at grade without having to elevate it. And it was granted by the Board of Zoning Adjustment, and it did have a time limit on it. I think it was 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
Right.
Were you there in 2010?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I thought you were still over on Bob's
No,
property.
we moved over in 2010.
Okay.
In hindsight, maybe the better option would have been to grant a variance to that building and only that building, and without some sort of 2 or 3 year time period, because, what if it needed to be there for 4 or 5 or whatever. So given the context that the airport itself is located in the floodway fringe, a flying school logically is going to be located in an airport. That's where it's going to go. So there's 3 of the different variance considerations here that come into play. First, the importance of the services provided by the proposed facility to the community, and the necessity of a facility at a waterfront location where applicable, and the availability of alternative locations not subject to flooding, erosion damage for the proposed use. Based on our review, we believe that this facility does need to be here, and there's not really a good alternative to be located elsewhere just because of the proximity to the airport. So the question is, yes, we believe that it really does need to be located in the flood zone, but can it be and should it be elevated? And I guess that's the question that we have here tonight. The proposal, I think, is to build it on, it's on an axle, the way I understand it. There's skirting below it. It's about 2 feet off the ground. To have it above 1 foot above the base flood elevation will be another 4 feet. So can this be elevated a total of 6 feet off the ground? You'd have to have a ramp, for handicap access. By doing that, though, you wouldn't have to move the structure, and you also wouldn't have to pay the higher flood insurance rate. So I guess you'd have to weigh that out for yourself, whether you want to pay for the moving and the higher flood insurance, or do you want to, have it on the axle and move it whenever the floodwaters come up? So I guess that's one question here, the necessity for the variance. Is it really necessary to grant this? You may remember a few months ago that we had a ticket booth like this, and it was modular, and it was to be built at, again, a county facility, a county park, but it was literally a water-based activity. It was the docks for boats on the Missouri River, and so because it's water-based, the ticket booth really had to be down there. you couldn't really elevate the ticket booth 15 feet up in the air because of, you know, the ramps having to go up to it for handicap access. So in that case, the Board of Zoning Adjustment did grant a variance to allow the ticket booth to be this modular structure and move when the flood stage reaches a certain level. So that might be a point of comparison for this one. Is this similar or is it different? And if so, in what ways? The variance considerations, there are 10 of them. They're named in your memo. Although the county staff may vary the restrictive application of the regulations if the property owner proves that all of the criteria that are reviewed in your memo have been met. County staff recommends denial, but we would recognize that you do have the opportunity for either to approve the variance, to approve it with conditions, or deny the variance. And if you should choose to approve it with certain conditions, we have some conditions. We have 3 of them that are suggested. I'm sorry, we have 5 of them here that are suggested, including one, that the variance would apply to this structure only, no time limit on it, but just for this structure only. The structure shall be moved from the property when the river gauge in Grafton, Illinois reaches, and we said 29 feet, but I suppose we should say 28 feet, just to be safe. And then the last one, finally, is all utilities serving the structure must be elevated 1 foot above the base flood elevation. In other words, for instance, the electric meter should be elevated so it doesn't get ruined with water.
That already is.
What's
That
that?
already is.
Good, yeah.
Because it's our building. Our building electric meter is what feeds this trailer, and that's, what, 10 feet? Yeah, it's at least 10 feet up in the air. All that stuff has been moved up after this last flood.
Well, to address something that you mentioned, the elevation certificate, it helps us in a couple of ways. One, it helps determine what the base flood elevation is for that location, so you know how much of a variance you're considering, but it also helps us determine at what level things like the electric meter needs to be installed. And those things are critical, really. So it's very helpful to have that.
Do you have a copy of this elevation certificate?
I do at the office, but not with me.
Okay.
But I think you have a copy.
We have it here, yeah.
Brought by the applicant, is that right?
Yeah, it's down at that end now.
Okay.
We're passing it down. Good. Okay, thank you, Robert.
The only other thing I would mention is, you may recall with the Board of Zoning Adjustment, it takes 4 affirmative votes to approve any variance. I just thought I would mention that because it's a little bit different voting requirements than other boards and commissions.
Cool. Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing case.
Chairman, you should allow for public comment in case anyone wants to
Oh, I'm
make
sorry.
public comment there.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that wishes to comment? Okay, step forward. And I'm going to swear you in. I forgot to do that to Dennis.
I swear to tell the truth.
Whole truth and nothing but the truth,
Yeah.
or we'll sink your trailer.
Yeah, right. No, all right.
Please state your name. Oh, let him get his homework out of the way.
Good evening, sir. My name is Dennis Wiss. I'm the airport manager for the St. Charles County Regional Airport.
Cool. Thank you.
Do you want to swear at me?
Yes, please raise your right hand. Everything you say will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and board members. I'm Dennis Wiss. I am a county employee. I'm the airport manager. I've been out at the airport for about 9 years now. Mr. Bampton and the Flying Service are a long-term tenant of the airport. They are far and away the busiest flight school we have. I did write a letter to you, sir, but do you have the letter of August 18th?
I just saw it tonight.
Okay, I'm sorry, there was
All right.
some misunderstanding, but the facility that Mr. Bampton is in, the county owns all the buildings out at the airport, with the exception of 2 buildings. We own Building 6, the county, own Building 6 that Mr. Bampton and his service occupy right now. They do aircraft maintenance, they do flight instruction, As Mr. Bampton said, they'll take you from being a novice with no flight lessons, no ability whatsoever, to a commercial pilot rating. They have complied with all the FAA regulations. They are the only Part 141 flight school in the St. Louis area, which is a pretty good kudos to them. After the 19 flood, I don't know if you're familiar with the Airport Administration Building. It's about 4,000 square feet. Mr. Bampton and his group moved into the old kitchen area. They occupied about 1,500 square feet. That was really my first direct interaction with how busy they are, because all of a sudden there's people coming and going day and night. Quite frankly, they were a little noisy and it was hard for me to get my job done, but it's okay. I know the constraints that Dennis and his crew are under. I've been in the hangar where Mr. Meyer is trying to give instruction to a pilot, and here's another flight instructor trying to give instruction, and they're literally sitting right on top of each other, and people are walking down the hallway while this is going on. The mechanics are out in the hangar banging on airplanes, dropping tools. It's not a conducive atmosphere. So the structure that Mr. Bampton had previously allowed the instructors and the students to isolate, if you will, to go to a quiet area where they can sit one-on-one without people walking in front of them, without extra noise. So all Mr. Bampton's wanting to do tonight is simply replace that trailer that was there before. I know the FAA being a government agency, they're very restrictive when it comes to flight schools. We tried to allow Dennis and company to use our facility 24/7. It wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work for the terminal building to be open 24/7 with access to county equipment and facilities. So this is the solution for Mr. Bampton. It's a solution he had before. It will work again. To your comment, sir, you asked about the venting underneath the skirting and whatnot. The skirting is, I want to say, punctured. It's not solid skirting. There's air holes and whatnot in it now, so any water that comes in would flow right back out. So it might take a beating doing it, but the water can come and go.
But it won't get that high.
I was say it should be gone by then.
It should be
right?
gone by then.
Right.
And we actually, over the years, my maintenance supervisor has been at the airport for over 30 years. He's been through 11 floods now. I've been through 6 in the 9 years I've been here. We have a cheat sheet. So when we look at the Grafton Ferry river gauge, we know at 28 feet, it's on Portage Road. At 28.5, it's coming across Portage Road. At 29:30, Portage Road becomes impassable, so all of a sudden, we've just lost the airport. So people can't come down Portage Road. They can still cross the airport, but we do not like that. We don't like cars and airplanes crossing at the same time. So as the airport manager and a county employee, I fully support Mr. Bampton's proposal. This is far and away a good thing, if you will. To be quite selfish, he pays a little money to the county. Okay, a lot. So he is one of our best tenants. From a financial standpoint, we need Mr. Bampton and the flying service out there. So if this structure helps him and his business, I would fully support it and ask for your approval.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
Any questions of Dennis? No?
He's Dennis 1, I'm Dennis 2.
Oh, okay. So he's older? Yeah, we don't want to bring that up. Okay.
What's your contingency plan if you're out of town and when the river's at flood stage? Who's monitoring, calling the company or not?
Well, my daughter works for me, my son works for me, and then I have a director of maintenance that works for me, so they all know what they're doing. So I have no qualms about, believe me, I go out of town a lot. I play a lot of softball, so I go out to softball tournaments, and I'm going for 4 or 5 days, and they cover everything. So I'm not concerned with that at all.
We're not
And-
looking at
and-
flash floods. though.
Pardon?
We're not
No,
looking at
yeah,
flash
we
floods.
don't worry about flash floods.
The river can
We
come
don't-
up pretty fast.
concern-
pretty
We
quick.
haven't had, that last flood you guys had here in St. Charles County 2 weeks ago, We were wide open. Everybody kept calling us to say our airplane's under, never affected us. Flash flooding doesn't affect us. It's the river.
That's
The Mississippi River, even the Missouri River doesn't bug us, but Mississippi River, we keep an eye on that for sure, and especially after 19. So we're very cognizant of the river. So,
All right, thank you.
for what it's worth.
Okay, now I'm gonna ask, there's nobody else wants to speak on behalf or against this. I will close the public hearing. Okay, we've had Robert's input. Thank you very much, Robert, once again. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve with the 5 staff recommendations and change it to 29 foot to 28 foot. Do you want me to read all 5 of them, or is
No.
just fine?
You don't need to, thank you.
So, Mr. Chairperson, first, you would just call for a motion to amend the 4th condition.
Yeah,
in
amend
there
number 4 from
29
29 feet to 28 feet.
And then someone would move, someone would second, and then you vote on that first.
So moved.
Okay.
John, second? Okay. All right, all in favor, let's see. John?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Yes.
David? Kevin?
No,
Okay.
that leaves you, Mr. Prinster.
I'm in favor of it, yes. So amended for
So
28
just amending
feet.
to 28 feet, now you would move for the vote on that with the conditions as amended.
All right.
So that passes.
Well, that was,
No, that was just
That
to
was just
amend
on number
the
4.
condition, and now you need to vote to pass the, to pass.
Now I'll make
the-
another motion to approve the variance with the staff recommendations and number 4 changed.
Okay.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, John?
She seconded it.
I know.
But we're
I'm
voting.
calling for the
Okay.
vote.
I vote affirmative.
Vicky?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
And yes.
Okay, now it passes.
And it passes.
So have we forgotten to vote on anything else?
No, you're good, just, it's this process you gotta do with those.
We haven't done this
amending
for a
it,
while, you know.
so-
We're pretty
No, I
rusty.
know, I hear you.
That's it.
I
All
appreciate
right,
it.
so you can proceed, please.
Do we have to vote on last month's?
Yeah, we'll, but they don't need to hang around for that.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
That's it? Thank you. Dennis 1 and Dennis 2.
Appreciate it. Yeah,
Good luck down there.
yeah, thanks.
I used to have a plane down there years and
Oh, is
years.
that right?
I had it was a little cloth thing, cloth
Tail dragon?
covered, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Long time, in the early 60s.
That's before my time. Now you're dating yourself.
I know.
All right, thanks, fellas.
Oh, thank you.
Girls.
Learned to fly a 1947 Stinson tail dragger.
This was a 62 something. I only paid $2,000 for it.
Motion to approve the March 3rd, 2022 minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Approved.
We got anything else, Mr. Meyer,
No, we do not.
besides adjournment?
All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting is hereby adjourned. Wait, I'm supposed to wrap my, that's what it says.
7:50.
Wrap your gavel.